Welcome into First Take. Thank you so much for hanging with us. Full house today. We got Jeff Saturday here, Stephen A. Smith,
Long
Max
time.
Kellerman.
Yeah, how you doing, brother?
Boy.
Back
Good
in
to
action.
see you.
How y'all doing?
I'm good.
You good? You good? Let's roll. Let's do this.
We ready to get into this or what?
I'm always ready. I don't have a problem being ready.
You always
I really,
do.
really
Never
don't have
forget
a
about
problem.
Max. All right,
You know what I'm
let's
saying?
get into it.
All right.
About last night, Monday Night Football, Aaron Rodgers became the first quarterback to throw for 300 yards against the Eagles. And the Packers snap a 4-game losing streak, defeating Philly 27-13. Stephen A., from what you saw last night, is your boy back?
Back. No, he's not back. You know why? Because where the hell did he go? I mean, that's what I'm trying to figure out.
was
All of this
gone.
stuff about where did he go?
He was gone.
Listen. Couple of bad games, suspect games, or what have you. I kept trying to tell y'all, mere bag of shells, no big deal. Why am I saying that? Because it really wasn't about Aaron Rodgers. It was about Jordy Nelson, who hasn't been the same since his injury. It's about Randall Cobb, your slot receiver, even though he's good. We also understand he could be better. About Devontae Adams coming on strong and reminding everybody of what his capability is. It's about Eddie Lacy, who was fat last year, got himself back into shape. But then last year, not this year, but got himself back into shape, but then got injured this year and what have you, not having a running back. It's about that porous defense, absolutely atrocious secondary due to Sam Shields primarily being injured. But having said all of that, let's pump the brakes just a touch here, just a touch. Because as I looked at the Eagles last night, I just want to say my condolences goes out to Jeffrey Lurie, the owner. I mean, he had a rough couple of years. Last year, he had to deal with the whole Chip Kelly thing. Right. This year, it's a bevy of injuries, and you got a rookie coach. You know, Peterson, you're challenging a call on a 2-yard pass. What the hell are you thinking? Talk about being a rookie coach. That's a problem. Aguilar, he was inactive. I wrote down the list here, Max, because there's a whole bunch of guys that were either injured, they were ill, or they were just inapt. I was reading for the Philadelphia Inquirer, New York Daily News. Philadelphia Inquirer, my former paper where I worked 17 years.
Aren't we about to ask what's the problem in Philly? You want to do that now?
I'm not going to do that now. I'm not going to do that now. I'll touch on that a little bit later. Good point. All I'm trying to say to you is this. Considering the injuries, the illnesses, and everything else, we can't really say that Aaron Rodgers, oh my Lord, what a performance. What I'm saying is 27 touchdowns, 7 interceptions on the season, completing 64% of his passes. Excuse me, this is what's considered bad when it comes to Aaron Rodgers. Let's just put that in perspective. Aaron Rodgers reminded people like you. Yeah, okay, I'm just messing with you because I know how you are about Tom Brady. I kind of confuse your thoughts about Brady and Aaron Rodgers. But I just want to get on you a little bit. I want to make it up. I want to make it up that you got a problem with Aaron Rodgers because you seem to have a problem. You got a problem with Breeze. You got a problem with Brady. I'm just assuming he's going to find a problem with Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron's a little younger.
You need to change your name to Stephen H. Smith.
H?
Hypocrite. Because a couple weeks ago, a week or two ago, we were asked about Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Is he elite? And I sat here and said, look, you got the 6th best QBR in the league. Every quarterback with a QBR over Aaron Rodgers was an MVP candidate. So had he slipped from where he was? Yeah, a little bit. But he was still elite, and I recall you arguing with me about that. Now,
saying he wasn't elite? No, that's ridiculous.
He is now.
That's ridiculous.
He
Don't
is
listen to
now.
Max with that.
As the 4th best QBR in the league. But let's leave numbers alone or else you're going to accuse me of not using the eyeball test.
That's right. And we all know. Look at those eyeballs. Look at those eyeballs, John. He has to use those eyeballs.
That's how I look at the game, Max. Eyeballs.
Here's the eyeball
test. You see those eyeballs on him? He's got to use them.
When you looked at Aaron Rodgers in the last year and a half, did that look like the Aaron Rodgers? No. It looked like at times a good quarterback, at times a quarterback who's not quite great. Had a couple of bad games mixed in there. Not Aaron Rodgers. Was that Aaron Rodgers last night? Yes, it was. Talk about Devontae Adams. How about that? I think it was second quarter, right? The touchdown throw. Listen, that pass was so beautifully thrown.
Unbelievable.
How many quarterbacks can make that throw?
Right.
He does that when he's going well. That's not a fluke. It's done intentionally. It's done consistently. 300 yards through the air, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, and the eyeball test says that dude is back.
Listen, he was never going. I understand that team has struggled, but being back means that you went somewhere. This was not all placed at Aaron Rodgers.
Just taking his side.
Right? The quarterback always gets too much credit for wins, too much blame for losses. They have 0 running game. it is difficult in the NFL when Montgomery is your leading carrier and you're leading back. I understand he's big, he's all those things. He's not a running back. That's not what he does each and every down, right? He's been working on receiver. He's got all these kind of things. Starks was hurt. Lacey's hurt. Offensive line's banged up. They sent Sitton off to Chicago. A lot of changes, a lot of moving parts. Lindsley was hurt. All the guys coming back. There was a lot of moving parts. The last 4 weeks before this, they'd given up 30 points twice, 40 points twice. That's not on Aaron Rodgers' side of the ball. That's a difficult thing to overcome. You pointed out, it's a great point. Jordy Nelson has struggled taking the top off of defenses, which we've expected. He's coming back from his injuries.
He'll be better next year.
He will definitely be better. He'll be better as this season progresses on. Cobby was struggling some, getting open inside, all the things that we talked about from him being a slot receiver. Adams, last night, I mean, he stepped. Listen, the ball was unbelievable. The catch was nasty. I mean, he is draped. For that thing to hit you and you, I mean, it was almost like you couldn't miss it. I mean, it was a thing of beauty that it happened, but you saw their defense. And I do agree, this is a beat-up Eagles team. I don't think you can make, grandiose statements about the Packers where we are right now. But I will say, as far as Rodgers, he always plays with a chip on his shoulder. He never felt accepted, never felt loved, whatever you want to talk about. But at the end of the day, that edge, that kind of defiant attitude when he said, listen, we're going to go win 6 straight, whatever it is, his team is now beginning to rally. It will be interesting to see when he plays talent, a strong team, Seahawks, he'll have the Lions the last game of the season, what it looks like then.
Road, yeah.
But when he had to do it last night, he did it.
Couple of things. First of all, when we brought up Aaron Rodgers a couple of weeks ago, I have my own standards, not the mere mortals. I have my own standards. I'm Stephen.
Why do you look at us for mere mortals?
32 of 32 would take
That's
care.
right. I have no question.
You just said,
but
your argument today is he never left.
He never left. But again, to me, that's according to your standards. I have my own. But we'll revisit that. Here's the deal. I wanted you to be in on this segment because you played with the Packers.
Yeah.
And one of the things we've talked about over the last couple of weeks was some of the stories emanating out of the Packers.
Yeah.
Defensively, Mike McCarthy, Ted Thompson was even thrown into the mix to the point where Murphy had to come out, the president had to come out and say, no changes are being made. We're disappointed, but no changes are being made. I want to know what you've made of all the talk about the Packers and their troubles in recent weeks prior to last night's game. What was your attitude going into last night's game?
Yeah, I think when you looked at them from an offensive perspective, when I would talk about them the last few weeks, they have no rhythm. Right? Like offenses are built on rhythm. 3-step, let the ball go, right? Receiver's going to get open. It seemed like everything was going back to backyard football. We're going to try to extend plays, which I know they practice because I did it, right? They have drills out there where the horn blows, and they want you to extend the play another 2 or 3 seconds. The issue with that is when teams back off and make you take check downs and make you throw the ball down and make you run it to earn it, they couldn't answer that call. So when you're playing out of rhythm, it makes Aaron Rodgers look mortal, to your point, because to put that ball in when defensive backs are breaking on the ball instead of playing backwards and backing up, it's difficult to do. You don't have the run.
I have a question about that. Look, football is not the kind of game where you can, over the long haul, impose your physical gifts one player and consistently decide the outcome of games. I get that. But every now and then a guy comes along. Michael Vick at his best in that first breakout season, RG3 in his rookie season, Cam, Aaron Rodgers over the course, I think, of a couple seasons.
Right.
And there are some others, maybe including Andrew Luck in maybe his second or third season, where I felt like a player is just deciding, quarterback usually, to take over the game and compensate for the weaknesses in other places. Aaron Rodgers yesterday looked like that guy to me. Even the 4.3 yards per carry on the ground through the air, it was like he decided, I'm not going to let anything happen here.
But here's what he did. He took what they gave him. They're playing man coverage behind it or 2-man behind it.
And so he was on one leg. How we forgetting that?
Yeah, the hammy gets tugged on. But he didn't try to force the ball. He was smart about what he was trying to do, especially early in the game. He wasn't trying to force it. He didn't play frustrated. And that's what I was going to get to of the last. You saw him play frustrated. And no team can do that. And then your defense is giving up a bunch of points. Everything kind of gets lumped in. And your play, I'd never heard anybody bash Ted Thompson. I mean, everybody was getting thrown under the bus in Green Bay. And that's what happens when expectations are as high as they are on a football team. When you got guys in the locker room, here's what I would always say to a veteran guy. If you got an issue with the way we're playing, come in-house and let's talk about it. The last place I want to hear about it is from the press when I walk back in on Monday morning or if I have a conference after you that night. I don't want to hear what you said and have to explain it. Everybody in their locker room started doing some of that. And you can't, at the end of the day, you got to get in-house and say, we're not accomplishing what we're supposed to be doing. Everybody's got a role. Everybody's got accountability and ownership. They got to take it up. But when you start going, hey, we don't got the energy. We don't have the effort. Nah. Like,
I want to take it back to Rodgers for a second.
Because it will divide a locker room.
I want to take it back to Rodgers on the field for a second. What you're talking about, taking what the defense gives them, that's what, like, Tom Brady does better than anyone ever. That's what Dak is doing this year. Those are those mistake-proof kind of quarterbacks.
Sure.
I felt like Rodgers at his best was the best version of that in the sense that he had all the physical gifts to run and throw, and in addition to that, he made good decisions while still being aggressive, getting the ball into tight windows. That's the guy I saw that guy again yesterday.
Yeah, but the defense they're playing is when you're talking about him in his prime, he had a good running game. They could establish the run. They could go make those plays. Right now, he is playing, behind the 8 ball. I mean, when you don't have a running game, you can't be as challenging as you're talking about because there's no recovery. You can't eat clock. You're going to have to throw the ball. You got to throw it short. He's getting pressure because he has to extend plays. He's going to take a shot. All of those things. When he's aggressive, he is definitely at his best, but it requires the other 5 skilled guys to be in that same mindset. That's where your issue has been is Adams just started showing up. I mean, everybody's going to jump on the bandwagon. Yeah, he's just started to show up, right? Cobb last year had issues. This year, it had a hard time getting the ball. Jordy, they expected him to just hit the ground running. We all know receivers, ACLs, it is tough to come back from that. Man, to get out of your break, to get over the top, all those things. And now think about it from a defense perspective. You're going to play it like that. I mean, you're going to be willing to take more chances, challenge those receivers, jam on the line, try to throw off the timing, and then you see Rodgers back there patting it. It doesn't matter how strong your arm is, doesn't matter how any of that stuff is. You got to be aggressive, but you also got to understand what you're playing with from a defensive perspective. And listen, I'm going to tell you right now, the Packers early in the season, had I thought their defense was going to play that good, I'd have said this team is a 13-win team. But now their defense has kind of come back to where I probably expect. They played good last night, but the weeks before, it's a struggle, right? I mean, that's where it is.
So things are looking positive. We saw the vintage bad man last night in Philly, but will Rodgers and the Packers run the table as predicted in their last 5 games? Go on Twitter now and vote. We'll share those results a little later in the show. But let's get to the other side of this matchup, gentlemen. Philly suffered its first home loss of the season after winning 3 straight. And now they've dropped 6 of their last 8. So the Eagles are now the only team in the NFC East with a losing record. Jeff, what's the problem down there in the city of brotherly love?
Boys are hurt. A lot of folks hurt. I mean, you look at this team and how they played early in the season. Wentz obviously has played very good football. Again, last night, played really good football. They don't have enough to get by a team like Green Bay. I mean, they're just not enough options, not enough things. Your running backs hurt, your line 3 or 5 linemen are down, your defensive backfield's being adjusted because people are hurt. Everything that could go wrong for the Eagles from an injury perspective has gone that way. And then you got you got one of your receivers who's benched and he's healthy. I mean,
Nelson Aguilar.
Yeah. I mean, you're looking for this guy to be the guy, and now you can't even go on the field. Those things are tough to overcome.
This is why it's a rare occasion. I can't believe I'm saying this. I actually disagree with Jeff Saturday. I'm sorry to break it down to you. You said injuries. No. Personnel. That's what it is. The receivers can't play that much outside of Jordan Matthews. Jordan Matthews got hurt yesterday, got hurt in the second quarter, came back, tried to go in the third quarter, couldn't really do it. But what else do they have? If you look at Aguilar, he hasn't produced. What in God's name has happened to Zach Ertz and Brent Selleck? These are 2 tight ends. You've got New England, people like that, 2 tight end systems. We know what they can do if you got those guys. We expected and anticipated that the Eagles were going to be able to utilize those dudes. They can't do it. Then you got guys that, you're talking about 5 different changes in your starting lineup. Aguilar was inactive.
Before you move on from the tight ends, let me just say this. Players don't forget how to play. They're not being featured, but those guys don't just stop knowing how to play. They're not featuring them, getting them the ball, making effort to get that.
So what are you trying to say, Jeff? I mean, are we saying that we miss Andy Reid? I mean, what are you saying here?
What are you saying? It's a first-year coach. You've got to get used to what you have and how you're going to do it. Because if you look at what they have, players don't just, I understand the cliff. At some point, all players hit a cliff. But guys don't just stop playing. They have to be featured. They're trying to do different things. things. They're trying to get other things established. Maybe they're nervous about Wentz and the way he's going to put it. I mean, there's a lot that goes into that. You can't just say
Wentz is the only guy I feel good about it.
Are you too
playing
done? Would
I feel
everyone
great
like
about
the
him.
answer? Would you like the answer? I can't believe I have to tell a great offensive lineman the answer
I
to
just
this
said
question.
3 of 5 down.
No,
Go ahead.
no. Before Lane Johnson started serving his suspension, this is a 3-1 team, and the quarterback had a QBR that ranked 17th in the league. That's between Russell Wilson and Kirk Cousins. Think that level quarterback
You about
this
to
year.
say what I think you're going to say?
When Lane Johnson went out, since then, they're 2-5. And his QBR,
stop it.
his QBR,
Don't be nodding at
his
everything.
QBR. Hold on,
Stop
I love this.
His
I
QBR.
love this.
Oh,
We
my
got
Lord.
media
This is
who's
unbelievable.
going
We're
inside
gonna
the
have to
numbers.
I can't believe you're going to
His
say this.
QBR
I
went
can't
from
believe it.
17th to 31st. Now,
I gotta stand up
they
for this.
say
I gotta
Lane
stand
needs
up
a
for this.
raise.
I gotta
They
get him a
say-
raise. Go ahead.
now they
Go
say
ahead.
correlation is not causality. But damn it, that's a good correlation right
I
there.
gotta stand up for this.
I love
so let
you.
me get. Hold on.
I love you. This is unbelievable.
I
I've never heard a
I gotta
right
stand up for
tackle
this. I gotta
ever be
a
that's
right
so pretty.
tackle.
What happened?
I love it.
Really? This is unbelievable. So let me get this straight.
They are the third
Let me get
right
this straight.
tackle.
Hold on. Let me get this
Oh,
straight. Let me get this straight. The Eagles went from 3-1 to 5-6. From first place, pretty tied for first place, to out of the picture in the NFC East because of one offensive lineman.
Lane Johnson.
You love this,
love
don't you?
that.
And I will tell you why.
This is my favorite day I've ever been on this show.
And I will tell you why. Because and by the way,
It's a setup.
the Eagles'
It's a
point
setup.
differential also
Really?
went from first in the NFL to, what is it?
Man, you can read all the damn numbers you want to. Don't
23rd,
tell me no.
24th?
Go first of all, you
Now,
should be
how does
ashamed of
that
yourself.
happen?
I'm right now.
Now, why does that happen?
Go ahead,
Let him
man.
talk.
Go ahead, man.
Why does that happen?
Next,
Because
this
the
is
Eagles were
messing with me.
holding it together on offense early in the season with spit and bubble gum. And there was a tipping point with a rookie head coach and a rookie who was a quarterback and a rookie quarterback who they were starting. They weren't supposed to have a good season, and they caught lightning in a bottle
For sure.
because they could protect the quarterback and even block for the run just well enough that the other parts of the team, including the defense, were able to do their thing. And when they lost their best offensive lineman, second best offensive lineman.
Well, Kelsey's pretty good
Yep.
too. Matt.
Okay. Whatever. Top two. When they lost that guy, and everyone was looking. Let's not pretend that beforehand we weren't like, hey, Lane Johnson's got to serve that suspension. What's going to happen?
Right.
You know what happened? All hell broke loose. It was a tipping point for this team. Jeff Saturday.
I love
Malcolm
you.
Gladwell.
I've never heard
Y'all
anybody-
are shameful.
I have
Y'all got
never
together before this show.
heard
This
a
is
more
unbelievable.
articulate argument about offensive line play. If I had you as my agent, I would have made 3 times. I'd have had a 3 multiplier with you putting that thing together for me. We can look at Manning's number when I'm not. I would
you
love
on
that.
NFL Live
That's
all the time.
beautiful.
I watch
That's
you on
beautiful.
NFL Live all the time in sports. I have never seen you as happy as I see you right now. So
I'm coming back to this show regularly now.
Let's just analyze this for our viewing audience here. So let me get this straight.
I'm with him.
We
I'm
got
with him.
Carson Wentz. We got Darren Sproles. We didn't have that Ryan Matthews last time. I'm just talking about
Banged
overall
up.
the season. All right, we got the Jordan Matthews. All right, we got Jim Schwartz as a defensive coordinator. We got Malcolm Jenkins and Fletcher Cox and Carwin and the crew.
Hey,
we got all of these dudes.
Max's
Hold
point.
on.
Just guys.
Just guys. So let me get this straight. The Philadelphia Eagles, figuratively speaking, have fallen off the cliff. All right?
Yeah.
Because of one offensive lineman.
Big Lane.
This is what we're
You know
saying.
what? Do you know
This is what we're saying to the
okay, so
national audience right
the
here.
idea of the
Really?
blind side, which became, the blind side was a big
course.
deal, and
Yeah.
the movie and the whole thing.
Yeah.
In fact, when Casey Joyner, the football scientist, studied this, you know what he found? It's unless you're facing an elite defensive end, right end, the left tackle is a little bit overstated their importance. The most important thing is that you're strong throughout the line. And the problem is if you have a glaring weakness on the line, the defenses will attack that consistently.
Hold on,
And when
can
you
I
go
ask
from
a
a
question?
top guy
Hold on, Max.
to a sub-replacement
Max.
guy, that's what happens.
It's hard. And the quarterback season on the
I got him. Let me ask you a question.
I love this. This is a
Isn't it
beautiful
true
conversation.
and I just because I'm going someplace here, so don't give me a soliloquy. Just answer my question. Isn't it true that you have complained about the Giants' offensive line
Yes.
quite some time? Has that stopped Eli Manning? Has that stopped Eli
Kind
Manning
of,
and
yes.
Odell Beckham Jr.?
Yes,
Hold on.
yes.
Wait a minute. I'm sorry. What's their record? Have they been winning football
be better
games.
with a better offensive line.
I'm not denying that they wouldn't be
And a
better with a
running
better
game.
offensive line. I am saying to you, we have
You
lamented.
give Wentz Odell Beckham
Wait a minute.
Jr.
We have
It would
lamented.
help.
By the way, I saw him last night. Told me to tell you what's up. The point is this: we sit up there, right? We have lamented Green Bay, New York, various other teams. We've raved about Dallas, Oakland,
Yeah.
to a lesser degree Pittsburgh and the offensive line, but we've lamented on many occasions suspect offensive lines. Period. And you're telling me because of one dude at right tackle that
point.
makes a difference with you got to be you
point.
should be ashamed
I
of
love
yourself.
you.
You know, see that's what it is. You're feeding the ego right there.
Well,
y'all collaborated
it's
before
not
the show.
just- I
This
mean,
is unbelievable. Y'all gonna say there was a
This is
straight
what we
no
know.
still
You
in
know,
national
it's like-
television.
it reminds
me-
I know Lane Johnson's big time,
let me say one
but
thing.
one right tackle.
Hold on,
That's
I want to say
all.
something. I want to say something
That's
about
all.
this. This reminds me in all sports, defense wins championships. But when the 04 Pistons are rampaging through the playoffs and people see the Lakers, the Lakers are going to kill them. Do you believe it or not? If we believe that the offensive line, and I believe it is the foundation.
There ain't
Look at
no
the
doubt.
Cowboys
So do
right
I.
now. Of a
I didn't
great
say
team.
offensive line. I didn't say offensive line. I said an offensive lineman.
Because that
one
could be-
person.
that could
was
be the
tipping
tipping
point that makes guys
Yeah.
move, change,
Listen, I
adjust.
understand that, but the point is
With a
that
rookie quarterback.
It don't shift you from 3-1 to 5-6.
Apparently it does.
No,
Well,
I don't
mean,
think
the numbers don't lie.
Have you seen the?
Did you read the football scientist,
Forget it.
Casey
No,
Turner?
I have not. Let me say this to you. Have you seen?
I love Casey.
Have you seen the Philadelphia Eagles secondary? Have you seen these two guys that they have? I mean, it's a Leotis, McKelvin, and Nolan Carroll. Did you see what happened to them last night? You got Malcolm Jenkins, who's your safety. He's your third quarterback in this situation. Right. You got this kid Jalen Mills that's coming off the bench. You're wondering what he's going to be able to do, and he actually did a better job than the dude started for you. There's no Lito Shepard here. There's no Bobby Taylor here. There's no Troy Vincent here.
but
The
you're
days
not
of the
the whole-
Philadelphia Eagles
Alright,
elite
here's
secondary
the deal.
are over.
Yeah,
What are
listen,
y'all talking about?
Don't just throw that last night all on the DBs. That line, the defensive line didn't make hay getting to Aaron Rodgers. That is
Fletcher Cox and them didn't do their job either. I totally get it. I told Baldwin, Fletcher Cox,
try to go protect against
Graham and those
Aaron
boys.
Rodgers.
They didn't do their job. They didn't do their job.
Point something out.
But the
You're not
secondary.
wrong about that. Of course, you're not wrong. You miss it. It's not the only thing. But if that's the
the
difference,
tipping point.
but if that,
Yeah,
it's the tipping
it's a
point.
great
If that's
post
the
by Malcolm
difference
Gladwell.
between
Right.
1 or 2 losses, even 1 loss, and all of a sudden you're 6-5 instead of 5-6, you still have a season.
All right.
Oh my
When does Lane come
Lord!
back? He comes back last
End
game
of the
season.
year, yeah.
Okay, let's
Really?
bring it
So
all
Lane
back.
Johnson comes back.
Well, we'll see.
All the things
Okay.
will be so
Questions
much
will be
better.
answered
You
when
got
you
to be
get
kidding me.
All right, so back is
Unbelievable.
Aaron Rodgers is back. You guys said he never left. Jeff, thank you so much for being with us.
Goodbye,
This was
Jeff.
really fun
Bye,
this
Jeff.
morning.
Bye, Jeff. Bye, Jeff.
First thing I love
All
him.
right.